Welcome, students of You Know Who You Are. We are looking at the goals for the test, the past few videos of anti-slavery movements and emancipation in France. Left those behind, and we are now looking at the sugar industry and attitudes towards labor. And this is goal 22. Yeah? Um, I'm doing mainly the explaining and describing in-depth videos. Those are most important because these are most difficult. And this is again a more technical question about Caribbean economy and the European motherlands and how the sugar industry developed in the Caribbean because of the dynamics between the motherland and the Caribbean colonies and the sugar production in on the plantations at the plantations. Okay, let's look at the question. Goal 22. Explain why a growing output of sugar towards pre-emancipation levels. So the levels of sugar in tons became as much as it was before emancipation. In the British Caribbean by 1842 did not create higher wages. So their wages did not become higher. Their payment, their monthly salary did not become higher for the former slaves on those islands. Because you should expect this. This is something logical. If your boss makes more money, it makes sense that the people who work for the boss also get a higher salary. But this didn't happen. It did not create higher wages for the former slaves. Yeah? And the question is why? The goal is formulating an answer to the why of this. Why did a growing output of sugar as much as before the ending of slavery, why did it not create higher wages for the former slaves on those islands? Let's look at the question. A growing output of sugar towards pre-emancipation levels by 1842 did not create higher wages because the planters still felt they would make more profit, more money if they paid the former slaves slash Afro-Caribbeans low and insufficient wages. So it was all about the profits, all about making money. For this reason, they lobbied the British government to bring in immigrants. Why? So they wouldn't have to depend purely on their former slaves, who did want a higher salary and who did want to work in better circumstances. Yeah. So they didn't want to have to depend purely on their former slaves and perhaps have to pay them higher wages. They didn't want to do that. So the planters still felt they would make more profits if they paid the former slaves slash Afro-Caribbeans low wages. And because of that, they asked the British government to bring in immigrants so they wouldn't have to depend purely on their former slaves. Yeah? Because of that, because they wanted to make more profits, they paid their former slaves low and insufficient wages. Yeah? Okay. I hope you found this video enlightening and informative. Yeah? And it was all about explain why a growing output of sugar towards pre-emancipation levels in the British Caribbean by 1842 did not create higher wages for the former slaves on those islands.